Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for sharing your evening with me, and I will definitely make it worthwhile for you all. Um, as she stated, my name is Tracy Savage, and on behalf of Academic Services in partnership with the Parent Academy, we would like to welcome you and thank you guys for taking the time to participate in this live learning session. So, I have the privilege of talking to you about preparing your student for the end of the year math assessment. That includes grades 6 through 12. So, you'll hear me talk about grade 6, 7, 8, and then also algebra and geometry in particular. So you'll hear those. I'll be focusing mainly on those particular areas. But if you have any questions, like as Reagan said, please put them in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer them. If I don't know the answer, I'm not afraid to say that, but I will get you one as soon as possible. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. Here's our agenda for today. We're going to talk about the FAST and the BEST EOC. If you know anything about education, we love our acronyms. So you'll see what the words FAST and BEST stand for. They actually do stand for something. It's not just a FAST test or the best test. It actually represents something. We'll talk about some best practices in preparing your students, the expectations. I'll even show you some sample item types that your students might encounter when they're taking the test as well. And then finally, I'll give you some resources to help you with test prep for your students. So you guys hopefully will gain a better understanding of the FAST and the BEST tests, and then you can also be equipped to explore some of these resources to help prepare your students at home with your students. So looking at the FAST test, that is for grades 6 through 8. It is an online assessment. Oh, sorry, I went too fast there. There we go. So it is an online assessment, and it is from VPK, believe it or not, through 10th grade. And what is unique about this test is that it is adaptive to each student. So what does adaptive mean? That's a new word for most of us in testing. We have throughout the years have been giving our students a static test. That means it is just like one kind of test, one size fit all. But now there is an adaptive test. So your students, based on where they scored previously, or at some point throughout the year, because they have had a couple of opportunities to do some progress monitoring for these particular tests this school year, wherever they left off, that's where they'll pick up at the end of the year exam. So the test will provide our students with a question, and depending on how they answer that question, it will be adjusted upwards or downwards. If they got it, it's going to roll them up. It's just trying to find a way to identify where your students actually fall within the spectrum of proficiency. So there have been, as I stated before, several opportunities for your students to take a progress monitoring assessment throughout the school year, to just kind of see where they are and to track their growth throughout the school year. If you are not familiar with those results, you can look in Focus. They're there, and definitely reach out to your child's teacher, and they can also help you with locating the results of those tests so you can see exactly where your students are. Here you'll see in grades 6 through 8, there are about 36 to 40 questions that the students will receive, which also includes what they call field questions. So sometimes they'll just kind of play the field, just fill out whether the children can, how well they'll score on a particular test, and they'll ask the student. But the downside is the student does not know that that is a field question. So they just have to do and perform their best on every single question. And the window, this shows the windows for both of those previous performance monitoring assessments that I just mentioned. And the upcoming one, the most important one, is coming, and you'll see it there in red from May 1st through May 30th. There's a window that there is testing available. You would have to definitely check in with your school because that varies from school to school. when your child is testing. That is information that's readily available with just a simple call to the school. They'll be glad to let you know what grade level and also what subject area as well, because they're testing on different days. Different grade levels, different content areas are testing on different days. But so if you have any questions about that, definitely reach out to your child's school. And one of the resources that we've definitely been pushing for our students to get familiar with, two things, the calculator and a reference sheet. So if you see here, you'll see a couple of different examples of the state approved calculators that the students can use for sixth grade. It's just a basic 4-function calculator. For seventh and eighth, there is the scientific calculator. And then online, I know a lot of our teachers are getting them to use the online calculator. It's similar to Desmos, just to get them familiar with what they can actually do with those calculators, so that when they sit down and take the test, that is not their first encounter with it. You'll also see here there's a QR code. So if you want to scan that QR code, by all means do so, and you can take a look at it and even allow your students some practice at home with you using the calculator, because a tool is only as good as our ability to use it, right? And the other resource that we want our students to be able to be comfortable with is the reference sheet. So here is an example of the 8th grade reference sheet. It has some conversions, it has the Pythagorean theorem, not a whole lot extra. So when we say reference sheet, we don't want to give you the impression that there are so many formulas. They learn a whole lot in the 8th grade in particular, but as you can see, there's only a very small amount that's represented in that reference sheet. Again, if our students don't know what is there, they might waste time in looking for something that might not be present, or they might get frustrated, and especially when they realize later that it was actually on their reference sheet that they could have used. So we try to get our students familiar with what is available on the reference sheet, how to actually use it. And again, there's a QR code just so that you can take a look at it, and actually you can see all grade levels like 3rd through 10th by using that QR code. So when we talk about the results of the FAST test, you might hear us talk about level 3s or level 4s, level 5s. Well, we would love for all of our students to rest in that level 4 area, which is that students at this level demonstrate an above satisfactory level of success with the challenging content of the best standards. However, we know that realistically speaking, that every student is not going to score a level 4, nor will we put pressure on them to do that. We do want all of our students to perform at their best. With that said, a level 3 is what we consider on grade level. So anything level 3 and higher, we're completely satisfied, but level 4 definitely lets us know that they are performing above the expectation. Here you'll see we have it color coded just so that you'll hear us talking, to hear teachers talk a lot about level 1s and trying to place our students where they need to begin. Where they need to be placed appropriate to help with their unique learning paths. So here you can see the grades 6 through 8 and what those scores range are. And that might not mean anything to you, but just when you get the results back, just knowing where they fall, and it'll be color coded as well to let you know where your child fell within that range. If they were level 3, you'll see they'll put the scale number and show you exactly how well your student performed in comparison to other students as well. So now jumping over to algebra and geometry. So this test is also adaptive, and the difference between this one and the one from the 6th through 8th is that it does not have a progress monitoring throughout the year, a state progress monitoring test throughout the year. So what your district has done, the DCPS has decided to do, is offer them a test throughout the year, and the schools have elected at some points whether or not they're going to do it. But there is one test in particular everybody takes just to see where our students are, because we don't want there to be any surprises, negative surprises at the end of the school year. So we definitely want to make sure that we, set them up for success. And so there is a district progress monitoring assessments, two of them that we give throughout the year, and that way we can track your students. And if your students are in these particular courses, they are very much well aware of where they lie. The teachers have those data chats with them, and again, this information is available to you in your Focus account. With those with the EOC, there are 45 to 50 items, and again, there might be some field questions in there, and again, our students don't know which questions they are, so we just ask that they just do their best at every single turn. And again, with this being an adaptive test, I'm not sure if the ages of some of my parents that are